Welcome back, everyone. This is your host, Nerdtooine. Thank you for stopping by Planet Nerdtooine podcast. We have been gone for a while, and a lot has happened. And there's been all new developments. There's been great comic books out. So we're gonna have a jam-packed show today. So without further ado, let me introduce you the comic influencer of comic influencers, Year the Collector.
Thank you. Also, don't forget your number one punk rock advisor. Okay.
Oh my god! And before we get into everything, I do want to touch on that term, comic book influencer. While those definitely do exist, I don't feel like that's what we are. I feel we're more comic advisors because we don't try to pitch you to buy something. We give our honest reviews and say, hey, use that information what you will. If you want to read it, go ahead and join us. Like we're never like I mean, granted, I'll do a shameless plug for my own exclusives and stuff like that in my own comic book here and there. Sure, you got me, sure, but we're not out here trying to influence you to get 35 of their exclusive because it's gonna make a lot of money one day.
Yeah, but at
Um,
that point, that's not even being an influencer. You're just self-promoting, right?
well, for me, yeah, I find
Yes.
that like, and I always say, shameless plug. I'm gonna do it. Sorry, I
Yeah.
have a platform. Might as
You gotta
well
market
use it.
yourself. You gotta
I
promote
mean,
yourself.
oh man, but let's jump right into it. So NYCC 2025. I was there for a couple of days. I want to first off say thank you so much, Challenger Josh. I appreciate you uh, taking a chance on my book and getting me an exclusive. Here Walks Monsters had an official New York Comic Con exclusive. And it was just unbelievable. Shout out to Matt Smith who did the cover, and of course Martin came down drove down from Canada
Did that.
to
Hey,
appear.
I
And so
don't
that
want it
was
to be understated that you guys, indie creators, were featured in New York Comic Con as featured artists of the convention. So hey, pat on the back, clock it in, clap clap, all of the above. Big congrats to you and Martin.
I appreciate that, man. It's the one solace because I've spoke a little bit to you about how I feel like I should have done so much more. Like it was just ripe to be the greatest weekend that could ever be had, and I think because I had that high expectation, it fell short. And I will admit that New York Comic Con was a lot. I have never been to a convention that had two floors,
Like
two
full floors, not
stacked
balconies.
convention floors. Like this was insane. The first day I was there, I didn't even find Artist Alley where I had all the artists. Literally, the lower floor was almost entirely just artists, writers, artists, creators. It was insane. And then upstairs was like the bigger booths. Like you had like the big rig booth with Post Malone, and like the Tiny Onion booth was up there, that kind of stuff, and then all like the movies and all that. It was a lot. I mean, when I tell you, I was overwhelmed. I was overwhelmed. There were times, like literally on the first day, I got lost so bad in the Javits Center, going around and around. I'm like, I've seen this like 5 times. What? I'm going different ways. What is happening here? And I literally, to the point where when I finally found outside, I was like, I'm done. I'm not turning around and
I'm
going
not going
back in
back
and getting.
in.
I'm gonna get lost again. I'm gonna get lost. No, the day is over. I found outside. Have a good night. Like I was like, and when I tell you, all I did that day was link up with Josh who did the exclusive, got my copies, and then I found somehow, like when I say somehow, I literally stumbled into where Matt Hardy was, and he was only there Thursday. So I was like, I one thing I wanted to do was meet Matt Hardy, and I had a relic card that had a piece of the mat that he wrestled on, card that I wanted him to sign. And I got to meet him, and I got to actually hold the NXT Tag Team Championship belt
Wow.
when I took a picture with him, bro. That was insane. That, that was enough. Like I didn't need anything else. like, but yeah, it was insane. There was so much, and I've come to the conclusion that if you're gonna try to do NYCC, you need a whole crew. You need at least 5 people because if you're gonna try like, and we'll talk about why I say this in a second here because Year was not at New
No.
York City Comic Con,
In
but
spirit. I was there in spirit.
oh, he was there in spirit, but he was also there like telepathically or some shit. Because when I tell you this man had more news and announcements than I did, and I was literally there. It was a lot. Again, like five. You need at least 5 people, so you need like one person who goes to all the panels. You have one person that goes around and gets all like the celebrity signatures. One person that goes around and buys all the exclusives from the individual creators because that's what people want. Like, and I hate talking about selling comics, but like if you're gonna go to a convention, the way to make money is to get those exclusives that are only at the convention and then resell them. You know what I mean? So that's 4 people right there, and that's not even talking about having an independent person just do the comic book stuff.
Right.
Like,
You know, one person's not going to be able to cover the panels either because
no.
they have multiple rooms for panels, right? Like not all of them are going to be like DC Marvel announcements. You also have, well, you have the panels for like the comic book stuff, then the TV show, movie stuff. Then you have the Marvel panels for the MCU stuff, right? Those are
Mhm.
separate. So like that's 4 people right there. And then if you wanna cover everything, if IDW is there, if Whatnot is there,
Yep.
because Whatnot it's a publisher. Plus they have like their own sale thing going on.
Well, hold on. I gotta correct you there. Technically, Whatnot is not a publisher. Technically, Whatnot Publishing was switched to Massive. Massive Massive Comics, Massive just something. It's Massive something.
Right.
That's the new name of it. So
Okay,
it's
so
technically separate, but you know what I mean. So
so the
I don't
the
want people to be like, "That's not true."
right. But the point is, like, if Massive, right, the publisher is announcing, the next solicitations for the next year or whatever, that's a separate panel from what they're doing in the live shows, the stage or the little whatever corner they
Right,
have on the
right.
floor. So that's like those could be happening at the same time, or they far apart, or you know, it's tough. Like, and then the panels you also have like the Q&As with like creators, Q&As with artists.
Hmm.
You have like influencers or like social media people running their own panels, like kind of
Yeah,
like trivia stuff and all that. Like it's a lot.
yeah. And like I've gone to Megacon every year for the past like 5 years now, and I'm thinking like that's big. Like Megacon's huge. Megacon, while I love it, does not even hold a tiny candle to the sheer mass of what NYCC was. I mean, there was talk last year about having both of the convention centers because anyone who knows about the Orange County Convention Center, there's two that are side by side, and there was a rumor that they're gonna have both eventually for MegaCon. Like, so it's one year I went to MegaCon, there was literally like a cow convention like in the other one. Like I'm not even kidding. Like it was just a whole bunch of people in cowboy hats, literally bidding on a whole bunch of cattle. Like
Oh wow.
crazy. Like we
But
saw
that's
them, we were like,
interesting because MegaCon has the space, at least in the venue that I've been to, they have the space to add more booths or more tables or more whatever. But like half the venue is like the, I guess, the entry checkpoint, like where all the
mm-hmm,
lines are and all that. That
yep,
stuff could be outside. Half of that could be outside if you want. And you could like
yeah,
open up the floor a little bit more, at least like I want to say if they're using half of it, they could expand to like use 3/4 of like the
yeah.
floor space
No,
if they want.
I think they could do that, but then my only thing is they're big on like controllable safety at the entryways. So having a lot of it indoors with the cameras is very important to them when they create the things like that. And it was the same for New York City. Like there was literally the whole like there was a whole like lobby inside like New okay, not only that, but it even had its own like enclosed like outdoor area. Like literally if you didn't know better and just looked up, there's just fences all around. You're like, am I in jail?
It
Like
was like a patio
because
thing
you
going on.
no, like, it's literally an entire outside like, it's I don't wanna think about, like, a quarter almost of the convention floor, just also outside, where they had, food booths, they had, like, a Magic the Gathering booth, they, like, had all this crazy shit, but, like, it's on, like, a hill, so, like, you can see the, what's it called? The fences above, like, you can literally go outside, people were I mean, not supposed to, but people were smoking out there.
Yeah,
Like, you think about how big a space you have to be smoking inside the enclosed area. You know what I mean?
yeah, that
Because like
sounds
it's you
huge.
see the security booth and then all of the fence. I'm like, yo, this is insane. Like I when I tell you I haven't seen it was so much. It was just so much.
It was
Ah,
overwhelmed. I mean, I get it. I get it. I would be too.
I'm like I'm just a little guy. It's like the one time I felt, I was like, you know what? I'm just little. I'm leaving. Someone's gonna trample me here in a bit. I'm out of here. Like,
Uh,
but yeah, so let's transition over to the news because there was a lot of news from both Marvel, DC, Indie. There's a lot of stuff. So we got a lot to cover. So what you got here?
okay, so just for today's episode, I'm gonna cover the comic book side of Marvel and DC because they did announce like shows, movies, season 2 of this, season 3 of that,
Right.
right? We could talk about that on another episode because that's like it's a lot. But back to comic books alone, for Marvel, they announced at least 3 comic book events, or they expanded on those solicitations. Like next year, we're gonna have Queen in Black, which is like another version of the King in Black storyline from a few years ago. I guess um, what's his
Probably
name?
Mary. Is it Mary Jane Venom now?
Mm, yes, yes, but I think this is unrelated. This is connected to Null. Like Null is making a comeback now in
Yeah,
the
saw that.
following months. He's gonna have like a major role in Marvel Comics. Um, and I guess by sometime by the summer, there's gonna be another like King in Black event, but this time it's Queen in Black, right? More details to they're pending to come out of that. Then you have Shadows of Tomorrow, which is gonna be probably like another X title crossover that's gonna spawn out of whatever the resolution is from the current storyline, Age of Revelation. I don't know if you heard about that or you're following. I read some of it. It's a lot of titles, it's like 10, 12 different titles for this storyline. Basically, all of the X-Men titles came to a halt, and now we're on this dystopian future timeline where Revelation, the son of Apocalypse, has taken over the world. That's kind of like the premise of it.
Okay.
um I guess something from that storyline is gonna come back to the present after everything is resolved, and that's gonna start snowballing into Shadows of Tomorrow sometime during the summer. And the one we already knew, but they expanded upon it a little bit. It's the end of the Ultimate Universe. The solicitation for issue 1 had come out. Some announcements were out there that this was the Maker's return. It was
Yep.
the event for the Ultimate Universe, and there were some talks about the Ultimate Universe could have either reboot, had a relaunch, or there was going to be like a resetting on creators because it had been announced that Hickman was walking out of Ultimate Spider-Man at issue 24. Well, in
Yeah.
New York Comic Con, they officially announced that the Ultimate Universe is going to end, right? All titles like um,
Literally, I think
Oh,
the ultimate it was it Ultimate Endgame? Like, isn't that the name of the book?
yeah, it's the name of
Yeah,
the book. It was announced that it's going to be 5 issues for Ultimate Endgame, and then Ultimate Black Panther, Spider Man, Ultimate X Men, and the Ultimates are going to end at issue 24. And Ultimate Wolverine got extended from 12 to 16, and that's it.
perfect. Okay.
Yeah, there have been some like early solicitations or some rough drafts or some other stuff that they have preview throughout this year, like Ultimate Daredevil, and I think there was something else that they were uh, um, planning to launch sometime in 2026. None of that is going to happen anymore. So um, I don't know. I think Marvel doesn't like money, and they got something
Not
good
not
going,
not for
and
nothing. Ultimate Wolverine is the only Marvel book I am currently buying every issue of.
yeah.
I mean, granted, that's not saying a lot. I don't buy that many. I only buy ones that I know I'm gonna end up reading. You know what I mean? But
But
like,
there's a lot of
still,
people that are on that boat that they give up on Amazing Spider-Man, so they're reading Ultimate Spider-Man. There's people that um, there isn't a Black Panther book ongoing right now. You have Ultimate Black Panther, right?
right?
If you're a fan of Fisher Momoko, she got her own book in Ultimate X-Men, right?
Yep.
And then if you don't like those X-Men, then you have the other set of X-Men in Ultimate Wolverine. Like there's a lot of people behind the Ultimate Universe, right? Like if not, they wouldn't have expanded it as much as they did after
Right.
they did the whole Ultimate Invasion and all that. So, Marvel don't like making money from comic books, I guess. And I don't know if they are afraid of screwing it up like they did for the original universe, Ultimate Universe, and they want to go out on a good note, on a high note, and maybe come back to it in the future. Who knows? At this point, we can only speculate. Um,
I don't like that.
right? No, no, and we can get
I
into
don't.
that a bit later. But
Uh,
for so those events for comic book series announced in the aftermath of when we're under Doom, we're gonna have Dungeons of Doom, and
yeah,
that
I saw that.
also is gonna bring us the new Sorcerer Supreme series, which it's spoiler alert if you see them, the main
It's your
cover
girl.
is my girl Scarlet Witch. Hey, we're winning over here, okay?
And they did. She's considered the sorcerer supreme, right? Not sorceress.
I think it's called Sorcerer.
I hope so,
Yeah,
because I know there's gonna be a lot of
Sorcerer.
people that are gonna be like, "She's not a sorcerer. She's a sorceress."
Yeah, but that's the thing. Sorcerer Supreme is not.
Is a title in its
It's a
own.
title. It's an office,
Yep.
basically. So if
Yep.
they want to change it to Sorceress, it'll mean like it means that it's just her. But like if you've seen some of the covers, like there's a lot of people that are involved in this. So it might be maybe like a race or some type of tournament for the to hold the office. Who knows? All I know is that the
You're
it's
in.
gonna be written by Steve Orlando, who has been reading all the Scarlet Witch adjacent um, titles since like 2022. So this is
So
just another
100% in.
volume for his run. This is just another volume.
Yeah.
Instead of doing a 50 issue run, we're doing 6 or 10 issues at a time. That's what Marvel does nowadays. We have a new Iron Man series coming out. Like I said before, No is gonna have his own series. Um, Black Panther is gonna have a series called Intergalactic that it's a spin-off the Imperial story that Hickman just ended last week. Um, that was pretty fun. Black Panther is gonna be intergalactic king, war conqueror slash ruler.
I'm in.
Um,
That
yeah,
sounds fun.
yeah. No, it was really cool stuff. It was like Cowboy Bebop esque type of
Oh, hell yeah.
storytelling. Yeah. It was awesome. And then um I was one of the people that got into the X-Men titles after the Krakoa era ended when they did the From the Ashes launch. And they launch a bunch of team books and solo books at the same time. And I thought that was maybe a bad idea. Maybe they could have like started with one and slowly branch out through other teams and other, solo runs or whatever. But they
Right.
decided to do it all at the same time. Most of the solo series like Magic, Psylocke, Laura Kinney, um, and who else had a solo besides Wolverine? They all ended like at issue 10, right? And now it was announced in New York Comic Con that they're gonna get new solo series after the Age of Revelation ends, and that's gonna be Psylocke, and it's called Psylocke Ninja, Lunar Snow. Well, I'll get back to that one. Inglorious X Force is coming back. They had a series during the launch of the From the Ashes. It got cut short, I think, at issue 10, maybe issue 12, and it's gonna get relaunched under Inglorious X Force. Um, there's gonna be Magic is coming back, but it's gonna be a Magic and Colossus series, and you have from the Marvel rival characters universe. Luna Snow is going to have her own series. I guess they're going to capitalize on the popularity of Marvel Rivals. Luna Snow World Tour. And then and this is for just FYI for people that, might not know this, the Psylocke, one of the Psylocke skins that you see in the Marvel Rivals game is it's not technically canon Psylocke from the comics that it's called her name is Psy, and she is from the Demon Days story or universe that Peach Momoko did a few years ago, where it
Oh yeah,
was
yeah, yeah,
like
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Peach Momoko reimagining the Marvel universe, um,
Those
and
were
I
sick.
and yeah, it was called Demon Days and then Demon
Yep.
Wars. So the Psylocke in that universe, her name is Psy. That's the skin that you see in Marvel Rivals. Well, she's gonna have a solo series coming up in I think in January or early February. So that was also announced in New York Comic Con.
Get ready for all the blind bags.
Exactly. Yeah, and then Rogue is gonna have a solo series after the Age of Revelation is done with. And another, we're gonna have another Wolverine title, but this is, I guess, from the old man Logan universe. It's called Logan Black, White, and Blood. For those that have been
Mm.
keeping up with the Black, White, and Blood series from Marvel, Logan is gonna have one too.
Yeah,
Um,
Wolverine was the first one that did.
yeah, I don't know because I get confused sometimes because DC started doing it too. Like for
Well,
example,
I meant for Marvel. Like, yeah, just
right.
the first one Marvel did was the Wolverine
Wolverine.
Black, White,
I
and
mean, it
Blood.
makes sense if you want to have a slasher and highlight, the
Oh,
slashing part with the blood highlights.
it was fantastic.
I bet it was. So moving on to the DC comics that were announced, the big announcement, um, or one of the two. I'll let you do the other one later. They announced that Vertigo is coming back as its own label imprint, right? So for a moment there, a lot of the Vertigo titles had migrated to Black Label after Vertigo was done with, and
Yeah.
then they were doing like the Sandman universe, and a lot of the Vertigo property IPs were being published under the Sandman universe brand, but now they're going back to Vertigo. I don't know what DC is doing because they like 2 years ago they announced the return of Elseworld, right?
Yep.
And then now, oh, we're also bringing back Vertigo, but a lot of the Elseworld, like what you consider like other universe stories, um, are not being necessarily published on the with the Elseworld label. So I don't even know if they know what they're doing when it comes to that.
So I just came up with a little theory about why this could be happening with all the rumors of Warner Brothers being sold again. Maybe they're trying to separate Vertigo. So even if they do decide to sell off all of DC, they could keep like making the negotiations. They keep Vertigo, so they still keep the Sandman and those characters. You know what I mean? That just I just feel like that could be something that's at play. Like right now, they have no reason not to. You know what I mean? Because they still own it, so it's still their money that they're getting. So I mean, if that can somehow make us, you could divest that later. I can see why they're doing that.
Yeah, I mean that's a whole like legal and ownership right and IP conversation. I'm sure when if those merges and those buyouts do come in, those details are going to come out at a later
Yeah.
date. But as of right now, they announced the return of Vertigo, um, and they announced a bunch of books. So when comes to comic books announced, they we're gonna have another Black and Gold Wonder Woman series, but this one's going to be a one shot. It's going to be written by Tom King with a bunch of different artists. We're going to have the return of the Batwoman title. And specifically, we have the return of Greg Rucka, the writer, back to a Batwoman series. And this has been called a 16-year hiatus. Um, if you didn't know, Greg Rucka was like the creator of Kate Kane, the Batwoman, alongside J.H. Williams. They did some stories before the New 52. And then when the New 52 came back, Greg Rucka abandoned the title or his creation, let's say, because some editorial issues with DC,
Mm.
right? Like Batwoman was designed to be a lesbian character, and eventually had some of the stories flush out that side of the character, and DC was a little bit even though this was a huge thing back in the early 2000s. DC was still apprehensive. There were some people out there that were still not willing to
Mhm.
let things be what they were supposed to be, and even J.H. Williams ended up abandoning the Batwoman title too, like midway through the run, because he wanted Batwoman to get married to another female character, and they shut that down. So he walked off. So I don't know why Greg Rucka decided to come back, because um and this is a little on side note here. In League of Comic Geeks, they do like these Q&As with creators like almost every week, and Greg Rucka had one early on this year, and my question if he was willing to go back to Batwoman and write another series, and his answer was like hell no. So I don't know what happened. Somebody must have persuaded, or somebody might have left DC, and Greg Rucka was not comfortable coming back. The artist for the Batwoman series also got announced. Her name is Danny. She is a Greek artist. She's done stuff like currently she's doing the Invisible Man series from like the Universal Monsters.
Okay.
Yeah, she got this gothic horror
Well, that's
style.
gonna work really well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are excited about that. We're gonna
Oh,
have
I bet you the reason why he changed his mind was they probably backed up the fucking Brinks truck and was like, "Are you sure you don't wanna do it? God damn, I'm in."
yeah, yeah, and Greg Rucka had stayed away from doing DC comics for the most part. He had done like a couple of Wonder Woman arcs during the Rebirth era, and this year he came back and he's doing this series called Cheetah and Cheshire Rob the Justice League, and now this just got dropped out of nowhere. So good news. A lot of
Yeah.
people love Greg Rucka, so we're happy to see him come back. The Demon, aka Etrigan, is gonna have a solo series.
Yes.
Yes, Lobo, Deathstroke, Firestorm. Barbara Gordon is gonna have one called Breakout, and Satana is coming back with another solo series. So all of
Did
these,
the current Zatanna run end yet? Or is it I
yes,
mean,
it was
I
a mini. It
it
was like
did
a 6 issue solo
6, okay.
series. Yeah, and it was great. It was reading and drawn and colored by Jamal Campbell. It was amazing. I'm covering
Yeah,
it on my
I
on my.
picked up the first one and I was impressed with the artwork for
No, it's
sure.
beautiful. It's beautiful,
It's
and
gorgeous.
it doesn't have no drop points. It's like high
That's how good
intensity.
is that?
Yeah,
So good to have a series that keeps the same energy the whole way through, and you tell the creative team didn't like get tired of doing it, or you could just tell how much they're like, yeah, let's rock this.
yeah,
Like,
no, no, it was amazing. So she's coming back. I haven't seen the details or solicitations on who the creative team are gonna be in any of those besides the Batwoman
okay.
one, because I get that's one. It's like locked in. Um,
Oh,
Let me
Etrigan,
see
I'm
if
so
I'm leaving
I
anything
love
out.
I like you and I have talked so much about how I love Etrigan. Like I think his character is just so like, and while the shows are awesome and the movies are good, his character in the books are just that much better because they really deep like dig their heels in with the rhyming and with all of the like the stuff that he does. It's just like, you know what? Let's give him a solo run. 'Cause I know he made a couple appearances on Batman and Robin this recently.
Yeah, he's done some appearances here and there. Like Fire and Ice had a book called When Hell Freezes Over, and he was like their escort throughout like
Mm,
their time in Hell. Adrian is one of those characters that is really flexible because due to the elements of the speaking in rhymes, you can write a story very
yep,
Shakespearean for him, or you can write something very cryptic, or something very thematical in tones, with with
yep,
everything you can do with poetry, right? Then you have the elements of him being a demon and possessing Jason Blood,
right,
having that
yep.
dual personality. But you also,
And then the long lifespan as well is also makes it easier, in my opinion, to tell a story like that because you can have him going all throughout the ages. You know
yes.
what I mean? And it still works because that's what happened. We know that he
Yeah,
did that. You know
he's
what I
been
mean? Like
around. Yeah, he's been
really
around.
good,
So you could
really good. I'm
drop
happy
him
about
in
that.
every single setting. You can retcon shit. You can do
Yep. Oh
fast
yeah.
forward timelines, and then a lot of writers, when they bring Etrigan into a series, sometimes he could be like a plot device to change stuff or to have him intervene, or he can
Hmm.
just be funny. Like in the Fire and Ice comic, there like Fire got to a point where she was like, "Oh my god, like you are so annoying. Do you have to torture me with your rhymes?" And he was like, "No, I don't have to. I'm a demon, so I like to piss people off." And I was like, "Yes."
Yep. No,
So
he's a great character, and
yeah,
Lobo's awesome as well. Deathstroke, these are all great characters that can really do well with their own independent series. You know, I mean,
yeah.
a lot of these are like side characters.
So that's the thing. I wouldn't call them like B tiers or B listers. To me, they're like hidden gems, hidden treasures, underdogs,
Oh, for sure.
right? Because people that don't read anything outside of like the top tier, the A listers, when you tell them, hey, you might want to delve into, let's say, Satana, they never come back and say, oh, I hate Satana. They be like, oh my
Right.
God, Satana is amazing,
Yeah.
right? Same with
Agreed.
Batwoman, same
Yeah.
with Lobo, with Firestorm, with
Yep.
Etrigan. So right, like they're like hidden gems. They're not mainstream necessarily. They don't have a lot of like live action adaptations. Um, there's not video games, like they're not in all other
Right.
forms of media for like other fandoms or other type of crowd to like find them. But when they do, people like hold them tight to their chest because they're really
Yep.
awesome.
Yep.
So
For
that
sure.
does it for the announcements. I was gonna leave you
Yep.
to announce the crossover between Boom and DC, and announce
Which,
the other Boom stuff.
just to preface what we're about to say, the fact that Boom and DC are working together on this is not something that you thought you would see. At least I know I never thought I'd see something like this. So what we're talking about is they announced that they're going to have Swamp Thing is killing the children, a crossover event where Swamp Thing and the crazy ultra violent version that we of these characters we get in Somebody's Killing the Children come clashing together. I not for nothing, but Tynion can do no wrong at this point. Like, if anyone at this point doesn't go look at a James Tynion series and go, "That's gonna be good," then you don't know comics. You don't necessarily have to enjoy it yourself, but you should know by now, at least, that it's going to be quality. Everything he does is substantial. We're gonna even talk more about him and another one of his titles later on in the show when we do our review of Exquisite Corpses. But Swamp Thing is one of my favorite characters. Like he's just so much more than just a big plant monster. Like he really is a deep and and rich character. And to see him go up against these something that's killing the children, I don't have words. Like it's
Do you hear Tinian's like elevator pitch for this crossover?
no. Tell me, bless me, my sir.
So he said that the story, the premise of the story is like this kid, this like young like child has a brother that's a fan of comic books, and he has posters of his favorite characters in his room, and one of the posters is the Swamp Thing, right? And this child is afraid of like the imagery of the Swamp Thing, so he starts to have nightmares about the Swamp Thing, and that's how Swamp Thing becomes one of the monsters of the Something is Killing the Children universe. That's why it's called
Oh.
Swamp Thing is Killing the Children. We're getting the live reaction of Nerdtooine.
So let me
Ladies,
get this straight.
ladies and gentlemen,
And
speechless.
if anyone ever doubted after that, like, excuse me, I need that. I didn't realize until right this moment that that is something I needed in my life more than most things. Like, give me that now. Fuck, there's
Yes.
gonna be so many blind bags. God damn it.
Hmm.
But
Boil that,
again,
boil
when
that,
you
inject it into my veins right now. Bro, when I heard that, and I think it was like,
brilliant.
you know her, Sammy the Monster.
Yes.
Yeah, she interviewed Tinian during New York Comic
Yeah,
Con,
yeah.
and he gave her the elevator pitch. I was like, babe, babe, because my wife's she's a huge Swamp Thing and
Yeah.
Something to Kill the Children fan. So when I told her these two things was crossing over, she was like, oh, because she like when she first heard it, she was like, oh, they doing covers or it's
Right,
gonna
like
yeah, nah,
exactly, yeah.
nah,
No.
nah.
This is
Swamp Thing
happening.
is gonna be fighting Erika Slaughter and who else? Uh, um,
Oh my god.
who else? Who knows who else? He gonna run into. But yeah, that's the premise. He's gonna be one of the monsters in that
That's
universe.
so good. Oh my god. And you know what? We can talk about that a little more in a second, but the fact now that part of the other announcement that was made at New York Comic Con by James Tynion was that Something is Killing the Children has been optioned by Bloodhouse. Oh damn, I
What?
just lost it. Bloodhouse.
Yeah,
The studio Blumhouse, I think it is.
Blumhouse, Blumhouse. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
My brain is you messed me up with that elevator pitch. My brain is not functioning anymore. Um, damn. But it's the same studio that did Five Nights at Freddy, and they have option to do Something's Killing the Children as not only a movie but an animated series as well. And James Tynion is going to be the showrunner on both.
Mm-hmm.
And if there was ever, and like, I'll tell you what, he absolutely, anyone who's worried he might not be able to, do a TV show or animate or whatever, he actually did this year a short film in Europe um, called Room Service, which he wrote. They directed and acted, and it was fantastic. I backed the Kickstarter and actually got to see the film. It was hauntingly, like, it was so disturbing, but it was done so well. And I have nothing but faith that the TV show and the movie are going to be the same way. Um, But think about this. That means that we could see Swamp Thing in the live action or animated Something is Killing the Children.
Yeah, I think when the
Holy shit.
this IP have been auctioned, I think it was by Amazon Prime the first time around.
Which one? Something's Killing Children?
Yeah,
No, it was Netflix.
Netflix. Thank you.
Yep.
They left Netflix because of creative what's the word, differences,
Yeah.
right?
Well, I think it
So
was more than because initially they had the writer of it was one of the most recent Stephen King movies. I can't remember which one it was off the top of my head, but it had Ewan McGregor in it. I can't remember the name of it. Um, he was already attached from the get go, and they were talking about it's gonna happen,
yeah,
and then it
nothing.
just never
Nothing.
happened.
Yeah, in the reports that I saw, it was because there were some creative differences, and that's why like the whole project was like not on pause, but it was stalling. So I don't
Well,
know.
Netflix probably got cold feet because they realized how gruesome and bloody it was going to be, and they probably thought maybe this is something that we don't push. And I like that a studio that's already done a really solid money making horror franchise is the one now who is producing this because that
Right?
is what fits. That should
Yeah,
you should want the horror people to do the horror stuff. You know what I mean?
for yeah, for one, and for two, I don't know how they were able to like walk out or whatever contract obligations they had and just leave, walk away from the table with with ownership of the IP and go to another a studio and negotiate with another studio without being hindered by whatever previous contracts they had over there. So shout out to Tiny Onion, James Tynion, and everybody involved in that, because not a lot of people have I guess that business savvy in them to write good contracts that will allow them to walk away whenever they need or want to and be able to go compete somewhere else, because that's
So you got to look at it this way, like Sony and Spider-Man. In the contract they have to make or some IP related thing with Spider-Man after so many years, or it just automatically reverts back to Marvel. It's
yeah,
something very similar with Netflix. They in the contract it was like if nothing gets done by here, I guess it was 2025. And you know what I mean? Like maybe they said 2025. If it's not done, it reverts back to me. I can go wherever I want. There, but
yeah. If
for Netflix, I mean, and not for, oh, you know
And
why
that's
it
4 years,
stalled?
right? Because something skill the tuning got auctioned in, I want to say 2021 or 2022, somewhere around there.
Something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they had time. They had
You know
time.
what happened?
What
You know what
happened?
happened?
What happened?
WWE. Instead of putting all that money, I mean, it would have been less to do something that's killing the children movie probably than what they spent for WWE. But I bet you that had something to do with it because they were putting in boatloads of cash into WWE for the rights for Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, that's a
So
big
I would
IP
bet
then.
you, that's what it was. They were like, you know what, maybe let's not take a risk on something that's killing the children. And not for nothing, they also still have not made a Berserker movie, and that does not seem to have uh, lost. They does not seem they have lost the rights to that yet. So maybe the whoever negotiated the Berserker deal did not do it like it appears Tynion
Well, they
did.
might be on the clock too, because Berserker's auctioning announcement came after. I remember
True,
Something's Killing the Children
but
was the first one I heard. Then it was 8 Billion Genies. Then it was
which still
Berserker.
hasn't happened either.
No, and then it was Grimm from
Yeah.
by Stephanie Phillips. So there's a lot of projects that have been auctioned there. Those creators got paid, they got their money. If those studios don't make anything, they might revert back to those creators, depending on how those contracts
You know what
were
sucks about
written.
that though is that like especially when it comes to Berserker, the pitch for the book was that it's going to be a Netflix TV show and animated series with Keanu Reeves.
Yeah,
Like it's really sucks for people like us,
dragging their feet. Yeah,
who believed it or believed in it enough to at least invest in it and give them our hard-earned money only for that to come crashing down. But yeah, I mean, when you look at what Tanyan is doing right now, I mean, he is I'm gonna go on the limb and say he might be, when it all said and done, in that category of the Stan Lees, of the Todd McFarlanes that are just like so iconic that even people who don't like them go, they were pretty awesome though. You know what I mean? Like, because there's some people who don't like Stan Lee, there's some people who definitely don't like Todd McFarlane,
Right.
and but you can't go, he's not, what he's done is not impressive. You can't. With Spawn being as long of a run as it is, and now all his spinoffs are now hitting 50 issues a piece as well. I mean, you started all of Image with his best pals, like bet on themselves and create and literally, and I'm gonna say it, save the comic industry, because if it wasn't for them brave enough to start that, we
In the
wouldn't
long
have
run, yes, in the long
we
run,
wouldn't have somebody
if
that's killing the
Image wasn't
children. We
here
wouldn't
to
have,
compete with
yeah,
DC and Marvel, who knows what would have happened to the big two? Because without competition, like you know, a business can stagnate, or they can rest on the laurels too
yep,
much, because you know quality of the product can go down, because there's no reason to make it better if you have the
right.
only one.
No, and the audacity to bet on themselves to create something special, you got to give them props. And I think, and Tynion did the same thing. Tynion literally looked at DC and was like, you know what? I'm not going to write Batman and Joker anymore.
Who does that?
Why?
Let's say,
Why?
who
What
does
do you
that?
wait? Hold
Yeah.
on. Why? And he's like, oh, I'm gonna start a Substack and my own company and bet on myself and write for myself and not have to tell you, get your approval to do things. Bye. And since then, what has he done? Taken over the entire industry basically. Like, because you have all these blind backs that have sold hundreds of thousands of copies. And now, while somebody's killing, Exquisite Corpses has the blind backs with the cards, it's not the same as hunting for covers in the blind bags, in my
Yeah, you're
opinion.
not necessarily. Yeah,
So
you're not chasing
you can't
necessarily in
you can't
something.
use that to artificially inflate your numbers. They've sold 400,000 copies of Exquisite Corpses.
Yeah,
That's almost 500,000 copies without all of the gimmicks. Sure, the card is a gimmick. I'll give you that. I'm not going to say it's not, but I enjoy the hell out of that. But in just what Tynion has done, I mean, he's now signing those deals. Like, how Todd McFarlane's like, yeah, we signed on to do a movie for Spawn. He's like, oh, let's do something to kill the children, and I'm gonna run it. Let's go. Okay, damn. You know what I mean? Like, he bet on himself, and he beat the house. Like, he bankrupted the casino. Like, just got to give him props for that. And real quick, that reminds me, I want to send a very special shout out. This has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but that name reminded me of something. So, huge shout out to the entire creative team for Jane American, because not only was our good friend of the channel, friend of all of us, Jason Douglas, nominated this year for his great work at Jane American, it fucking won. It won the Ringo for best graphic novel. And people may not know this, but Jason was actually my first ever on camera interview I did for my own podcast. Fucking what? Almost 8 years ago at this point, probably something along
damn,
those lines. I'll have to look it up to see exactly how long it was. But we talked about Jane American on that first interview
8 years
because
ago.
I gotta hold on. You know what? I'm gonna look and double check and see exactly how long it was, because um at the time he had just been nominated for his work on Parallel. He wrote another graphic novel which I absolutely loved, which it didn't win that time. It went up against James Tynion. Um, but that being said, when it came back this time, it was with a great creative team and an absolutely fantastic book. And let's see, hold on. I gotta go. I'm scrolling all the way back to my first interviews with Planet Nerdtooine in a Movie podcast. That's how long ago this was. Okay, sorry, 4 years ago. Wasn't 8. 4 years ago, I interviewed him about his Parallel book, and we had the first conversations we had about Jane American, and I was like, that sounds fucking amazing. And now here we are, 4 years later, with a Ringo Award win. And anyone who doesn't know, Ringo is a award given to comic book creators. Um, if you're in the industry, you get to vote. I happily admit, now that he's won, I voted for him. So, and we had him on the show, and we're gonna have to have him back again because he's got some more stuff in the works. I'm sure he's gonna be doing a congratulatory "I did it" win, around the podcast circuit. So we'll definitely get him on again and talk about that. But huge shout out to Jason Douglas and the entire creative team of Jane American, Dave Lenz, Dr. Christy Blanche. I'm forgetting the name of the artist, but she is phenomenal. Just
Yeah.
huge shout out. You guys did a really good job.
Mind you, Jane American was the only self-published graphic novel
Yep.
from all the ones that were nominated. Everybody else were from like 10 speed graphic novels or Scholastic or NBM graphic novels, Source Point Press. Jane American was self-published, the only one from the list from the nominees, and was the one that beat
And
everybody for the award.
as
So
as an independent creator who self-publishes, he's given us all hope. So
mhm.
thank you, Jason, for being as awesome as you are. But let's segue that. So we are talking about James Tynion, talking about New York City Comic Con, how amazing it all was. Um, and in that same breath, we talked about Exquisite Corpses, and that has also been announced as part of the New York City Comic Con announcements, is that it's going to get a 5-year run. So this is just volume 1 of Exquisite Corpses, and honestly, it's probably one of the best books I've ever read. Series, like if you're talking about book by book, like it is just because I had to reread everything for this episode, and I even messaged you. I was like, I'm really shocked at like how absolutely good this book is. Like I had to reread 3 and 4 just so we could do this, and I was like, holy crap, this is so good. And it's very cinematic, and I'm telling you, just wait. Something's Good the Children is gonna do so well that someone's gonna option Exquisite Corpses like that. This book is tailor made for a now at least 5 seasons worth of great television, as well as great comics and a trading card game. Like Exquisite Corpse is about to take over the freaking world. So with that being said, we're going to talk about issues 3, 4, and 5 of Exquisite Corpses today because we haven't talked about it in so long that we have a lot to get going. So let's start. I mean, issue 3, it opens up with South Carolina and New York having a discussion, and it really gives backstory on who these people are, like Lady Carolina and the Fox Max Killer. Up till then, we kind of just knew what their skills were, and we didn't really know all that much about the characters. We just kind of like, oh, these look cool. All right, I'm in. And now, little by little, this tiny onion story is peeling back layer by layer to show you all of these individual, not only the individual killers, but someone will point out a lot in these couple issues. It's a lot more focused, really, on the what I'm calling the collaterals. That's what I'm calling them because
The
they're collateral
locals,
damage. They're the locals who are just stuck in this game zone that they now have. They did a really good job at making it be the story, pretty much for the most part, being told exclusively from their point of view. Like you see the killers interacting around these people, and besides the stuff we get from like the super rich people that are running the game, it's really like, especially from the angles that you see it, it's really from the regular people's point of view. So does that make them the Exquisite Corpses? I don't know. I don't know. 6, 7. um but we learn in issue 3 that Lady Carolina has actually been trying to get into the tournament for a while. Why you are as a rich dilettante want to risk your life to be in a tournament is beyond me. But that also kind of triggered the Fox Max Killer's issues with her, because she then decided that she was going to mess with her, and that leads to a whole bunch of stuff later down the road that we'll see in a second. Um, but it does show the difference between the two twins of the Carolinas, because the one that's in with all the rich people, she like is really like disgusted by some of the things she sees, and like she didn't really care about the weapons that were in the that were in there. They kind of looked as like toys, our entertainment. And now that she has her sister in there, she cares, and it's
Right,
weird. Like she doesn't
right.
know how to feel. Um, then we got to see a lot about the game master too. What do you think about the game master so far? Like he's ooh, kind of
Who who
pretty creepy.
who are you calling? Okay, so which one is the game master? The one with the families like hosting the show,
Yes,
or the game master, the person on the floor like directing the
that's
crew?
that's the groundskeeper.
Groundskeeper. Okay, okay, okay. Thank you for reminding
Yes,
me. The
he like the way he talks to these people. Like how he almost seems to have more power than these people, at least at this moment.
I think you're right because the person that hosts the games, they are like the, I guess, the current family in charge because they won the last one, so they don't repeat the winner. The current winner will be the host for the
Okay,
next.
see,
Yeah,
I
so
forgot about
that,
that.
yeah,
Okay, so
he
right now
talks.
he is in
Yeah,
power. Okay,
he talks down to them. He's having fun, kind of like, feeding them and providing drinks and being like a good host because he represents the family that is in charge because his family won the last one, so he's not competing right now, so he has nothing at stake. So that's why he's like a little bit more uh um light on his feet and like nonchalant and not have no worries about it because he doesn't have any skin on the game besides like, passing on the torch of, the
right.
power to the next family for the next 5 years. He's despicable, like a lot of them are. And I wanted to highlight something here to like some actual real events that been unfolding in real life, right? In issue 3 specifically, you see that the families don't like, it's not enough for them to like be participating in these games of the slaughter of real people, but on top of that they have their own like
Side bets.
side baits and side
That was literally
parlors.
my next point.
Yeah. So not
Love
only
it.
they are filthy rich, they have all the power, all the money, all the resources. They are playing with literally the lives of strangers, right?
Yeah.
And just to like, spice things up a little bit more, they taking bets on, how many people their player can kill, or how many they can
Innocent
kill
people.
with their weapons. Yeah, innocent people.
Like they're talking about bystanders. Like they're
Right,
literally betting, and
right,
there's whoever has the highest kill
exactly.
gets the whole pot.
Yeah,
It's
if their player racks up on their kill count, they make money, right? And recently, and I know you follow the NBA to a certain extent, there was huge news that came out that players in the league and
hmm
coaches were throwing games and doing all this nefarious stuff, um, to enrich their own pockets with all this, dual kings and all these other like betting apps for sports, which it's unbelievable. Um, Not that it happened, but to like the scale of it was happening, right? And then now
Yeah.
you get to look back at some of those games with Malik Monk and Tay Rozier, and you were like, man, it was like there's no way nobody noticed, right? But the evidence was there. Though
Well, hold on. Yeah.
these
You
guys
know
are
the
guilty. They're not
conspiracy,
beating the
right?
allegations. I'm sorry.
You know the conspiracy, right? That the NBA knew and suspended him for the last part of the season, and that has brought a lot of people to think that that's what actually made Michael Jordan take a year off of playing
Right.
basketball,
Yeah.
was that he got
Although,
caught betting, and they're like, he's
yeah.
like, fine, I'll just go play baseball. Screw you.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, and it's crazy because this
allegedly,
scandal,
by the way, for the record, they
allegedly,
never
this
never
scandal brought
proved
back
Jordan.
yeah, though this scandal brought back those old conspiracies from the 90s about my
Yep.
MJ. So, but yeah, it was crazy to see that people, wealthy people, people in power, people with resources, never seem to have enough. They always find ways to circumvent, to siphon
Yep.
more wealth out of other people, to if you will. So that
Yeah,
was a good.
like Virginia, the one who was the Nurse Pete, didn't even care. Like there was like Nurse Pete would literally like racked up the highest body count at that time, and we'll talk about that in a little bit too. And the people were looking at her like, "Why are you so happy? Your boy's out." It's like, "Yeah, but look at the numbers he put up. I don't give a crap." And then she literally like takes like a pill out of one of the bowls, just like, "Go, let's have some fun." You know what I mean? Like it's just it
Yeah,
is a very, I don't want to say self-fulfilling, but it's like quite telling that we can see similarities in real world with a lot of the stuff that we see in this book. I mean,
yeah,
sure, there's no like people killing for a whole night on Halloween, you know what I mean, at the behest of secret cabal, but
yeah.
I mean, you can look at the underlying themes and are like, that's kind of, suspicious how real that feels right now. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like, how did he know? Did he know? Is he in on it too? Like,
Yeah, and Nurse Pete was one of like Nurse Pete was one of my picks to win the whole thing because his weapon of choice was like poison, and him being a nurse, the moment he got to the hospital and got his hands on all those drugs and
oh
those
my
medications,
god,
I was like, okay, it's on. He
it's
gonna
like
start
that. It's like
poisoning the water. He gonna start doing all this stuff, and he did get murked, but he did like put a lot of put out a lot of people in like the hospital, like babies and
yeah,
children. Like he caused a lot of damage. Like you say, the lady from the Virginia family, she was super happy because he in a span of maybe an hour or two, he like ended the lives of like all these patients that
all
were
these
in a
people,
hospital.
and
Brutal.
what I loved that is just issue 3 of Exquisite Corpses. You see the regular people, the collaterals, the normals, the locals, and, Laura and Ian, they're the paramedics. They're ones who brought him there. But you look at like as a reader, you're like, okay, obviously the bad guys canceled all the Wi-Fi and all of the phone signals. But like you think about, I think it kind of speaks to us as humans and like a human condition, how like our first thought in a lot of people's first thought wouldn't be something bad is going on. It's just, oh, shit's down. You know what I mean? Like they are like casually sitting outside having a chit chat about life because they think it's just a weird day, not that it everything is going to change. And a lot of the people who don't look around, and the ones who do look around and start saying, hey, this looks weird, that looks weird, they usually get shunned as conspiracy theorists, whether or not they are or not. I'm not trying to stick up for them, but that's just like, you look at like, if you were in that situation, we're like, this can't be just a weird coincidence, it's got to be something. When people look at you like, you are insane.
Yeah,
Like, what are you talking about?
yeah, and that
It's
happened.
probably a solar flare or something.
Yeah, that happened more in the last two
Later, yeah.
issues with what's his name, Randy, the guy from
Mike.
the gas station.
I think it was Mike.
Mike.
It was
Yeah,
Pretty Boy. Yeah, it was Pretty Boy and Mike, I think,
and
was
Mike.
the guy
Yeah,
that was driving him around.
before the whole thing started, like you got a little scene where you saw Mike being like a conspiracy theorist or like the nut of the town that everybody knew that he used to do meth and now he's
Right.
clean, but he believes in conspiracy theories. So when he gets to, well, we can get to that later, but he
Yeah,
gets to a
that's
point where
it.
he's trying to warn other people because he's seeing what's going on and nobody believes him because that's Mike the Met head, and
Yeah.
he's on
And that
going,
that
he's
came.
probably going on a rent again, or like we've seen already, there's moments where like some of the killers are just standing outside with the trick-or-treaters and the people
Yep.
doing cosplays, they're blending in.
Well,
So
like with Nurse P, for instance, like when they first saw him in the earlier issues, he was just randomly there by a dead body, and they were like, "All right, let's just take you to the hospital."
oh yeah,
You
he
know what I
got
mean?
scrubs. This guy's is a nurse.
They
Yeah.
didn't they didn't go, "That's fucking weird." until later. They end up talking about that later, like, that is kind of weird that there was no cop there.
Yeah,
That's not how that's supposed
when
to
he
happen.
hit them, they were already at the hospital, and Pete already walked off the ambulance,
Yep.
so they
And
didn't get a chance to like actually talk to him.
when I tell you the horror I felt when they started to hear the things or looking around, I'm like, what the hell is going on? And then you just heard flatline, 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 flatline. Everyone is just dying, like throwing up, got blood coming out of their eyes, all this crazy stuff. And then like you see him on the floor, he's like, oh, I tried to stop them, just tricking them. I was like, oh, woe is me. And then
Yeah,
he literally he kills Ian, like just but before Ian dies, he saves what's her name? Oh man, I'm drawing a blank all of a sudden. Laura, right?
Laura, yes.
Laura, yeah, yeah. Saves Laura, takes out homeboy. They we got Nurse Pete off the board. And what I did like in this issue, Slater and Layla Blaze are two other
Uh-huh.
killers. They got a notification that Pete was down. I like that because that lets them know the stakes are now even higher. And
Yeah,
that Slater and Layla Blaze will come back later in a
the
great
next
way
issue.
too.
Yeah. And I,
But
I I like that too. It's like remember the Hunger Games, by the end of the night, like they will show on the stadium the the tributes, the fallen tributes. So
yep,
you could keep account as you like as the days are going by. So the players in Exquisite Corpses get to like keep count of that too.
it
So
it, it also kind of reminded me of John Wick a little bit, where it's just like because it kind of showed them in a different place altogether, and they're just like looking at their phones, like, all right, you know what
yeah.
I mean? Like, let's go to work, kind of thing. And I, God, and it just keeps getting better and better, and so issue 4 now
Before
is
before
where
you
we
jump before you jump
good,
to issue
good.
4, at the end of issue 3, like you said, Slater and Layla Blaze, they romantically get together, not to an extreme, right? Like get your head out of the gutter.
Right.
Um, they they found themselves, um, um, I don't know, like there's some chemistry there. There's a flame between them, if you will,
There
right?
was some explosive
There's
like
some,
sparks
yeah.
between these two
For
kindred spirits.
exactly. There's a little spark that's turning into a flame that might turn into a forest blaze, if you will. And I appreciate that because individually, even though they have told you a lot, some of these players are serial killers or murderers
Right.
or trained killers or trained assassins, that they're not one dimensional. Not all of them are there just to like murk people. Like some of them
Right.
have.
Really, so far the only one and we'll get to him in a little bit because we see him later, is Rascal Randy. He's like the only one that seems to be only there specifically just to kill people. Like
So
the other ones are either having a good time or have their own motives behind it.
the first one was like the hammer guy. He was just walking around
Yeah.
whacking people with a hammer, right? So he didn't last long.
Nope.
The second one, I would say that it's like out there just racking up nurse speed, right? Racking up body count. Um, we know their motivations or interests in mind, and then the what's it called? The little kid, the what was
The
his name?
gamer.
Gamer kid,
He's
right?
still alive though, isn't he? Yeah, yeah.
Wait,
Yeah, he's still alive.
up to issue 4?
5. I have it written down. I remembered.
Let me see. It was where I left off. I'm trying to remember here.
Just well, the last ones. I mean, we'll talk more. Get it just so we have it
Okay,
now.
okay, you haven't got there, but you will see in issue 6 that he's going around marking people
Yeah.
with the drone and like all this stuff.
All right.
So
Yeah, I haven't
like
read 6 yet.
yeah, he has no other interests besides like racking up body counts for the sake of it. So
Well, it's like a game to him.
yeah, there's like 3 that were in there just going at it, balls to the walls. Everybody else, even though they're more than capable, they're trained and all this stuff, they have been either like doing their own thing
their own thing, or just hanging out like Slater and Layla Blaze.
Yep.
Up to
In the issue
the end of
5,
issue
yeah.
3, they haven't even bothered to even go get their gear, and that's where we start in issue 4. They're together and they go to find their cache with their weapons for the first time, and this is like 4 issues in, correct?
Yep.
So I think
Well,
that's
but
cool.
Slater doesn't get his until issue 5.
Well, exactly.
Because
So
and that's another thing that, well, real quick, that Tynion did really good in this series. He's weaving together all of these different stories so effortless. I mean, I'm sure he puts a lot of work into it, but it seems effortless because it's just the same stories are happening at the same time, and instead of giving its own full issue, he drops a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit here. So all the stories seem to like just it's like a river. It just starts to flow in
yes,
together.
and the highlight of that is that so far nothing has happened off camera. Like you haven't had the need to connect. Okay, I saw X player in the whatever last issue doing this. He's over here now. Okay, so I gotta connect those dots. Okay, he found
Right.
he's well here, his way here, or her way here because sec motivation. No, you're seeing them. Um, every time they show, they pick up where they left last time. So that's
Yep.
good. It's not like, oh, there's an imply a piece of the plot here that you have to fill in yourself. No, that's not a thing. You're getting to see what everybody's doing, from point A to point B to point C, and that's kind of hard to do when you have so
Oh
many
yeah.
characters and different, like, plot lines going at the same time.
And like in issue 4, we really got introduced to the groundskeeper, and he does more than just clean up the bodies and stuff like that. He's actively a, almost a part of the game, really, and is not only cleaning up but delivering messages to the game master. Like this is the first time we actually saw like Rascal Randy really like do anything. He's bonkers. I love the fact that they put in that he cut all of the cameras off when he went to go get his gear, got in his suit, and cut all the cameras back on. Like
Yeah,
it wasn't a countermeasure, so you didn't see what he did. No, he didn't want you to see who he was because he's
under
probably
the
ashamed of who
costume.
he is. Jumped in the costume, was like, "All right, now you can see me strangle all these people with my bare hands." Woohoo! Like that's literally Rascal Randy in a nutshell. Like we've only seen him for a few panels, and it's just crazy. Like
Yeah,
he's just murk. Oh, you can
and
really tell why he's the hand. You know what I mean? Like
it's the not necessarily what you're seeing on the panels, but the implications of it, that is actually like turning up the notch on like how
yes,
horrific this character is, right?
like we saw
Because
only him doing 2 people, but the groundskeeper is literally cleaning up just like a mountain of bodies. Like
right,
he took out a whole building, like
yeah,
one by one. Like this dude is not to be played with. Like
yeah, and he's out there just strangling people, bare hands,
showing up
nothing. Yeah,
randomly.
yeah,
He's like the Exquisite Corpses version of Jason. He just kind of just in the background lurking for someone to choke out. Like it's freaking. I think he's gonna. It was gonna be funny is if Randy wins just because he's the last person. It's like there's no one left to strangle. No.
but
That was-
I love that character because the implications of a character that would not allow nobody to see him without his costume just tells you how sick this
yep.
person is, right? And in the beginning, they said he's a serial killer, like he's like, I don't know, going around the country just strangling people in
Yeah.
a bunny costume, and nobody has
It's-
ever seen him underneath. Like no
yeah.
survivors, no victims to tell the story. And then he does that little detail of like, let me turn off the cameras, and I won't let
Yep.
nobody see me until I have my damn costume. That's just, yeah,
Yep.
stay away.
Right? No, and then you got Lady Carolina goes to this car dealership, and we see another couple of collaterals that I like. I really like these 2 characters, Audrey McNerney, and Big Bruce. So Big Bruce is basically the douchebag used car
The car
salesman.
salesman.
Like,
Yeah,
you don't have to read this book to know exactly what Big Bruce looks like. Whatever you're picturing in your head as an overweight, sleazy car salesman, that's
horrible
exactly what he
boss,
looks like.
horrible
That's
boss
exactly what
too.
he looks like. But we were talking about earlier. I love how Tynion builds up these characters. Like when you look at Exquisite Corpses, the first thing that they marketed, the first thing you're thinking about is all the killers. And then now we're getting through this story. We're like, because 5 is the halfway point of this first run. So we're right in the middle, and we have these like like human beings that we're starting to care for. And some of them, I mean, not Big Bruce, but you know
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean. Like it's like these characters, like you think of it as like a horror story, they're basically cannon fodder.
yeah,
And you're making us care about those people that could literally die in an instant because they're not what the mainest characters. But if you also notice, if you look at like on League of Comic Geek, it has all of the locals as the main characters and everyone else supports.
yeah.
So not for nothing.
It's in the same vein when you go to see like a slasher or a sci-fi horror movie where like Aliens or Predator or Jason, right? Like Jason's gonna be there and you're gonna enjoy watching Jason doing what Jason does, right?
Exactly.
But you actually stay because you want to see how the the other characters survive, evade, or die, in the story, right? Like Jason's gonna strangle, slash, cut, run people down. The aliens are gonna jump out of vents and eat people. You know what they're gonna do, right? That's
Right.
what brought you in. But
But I will. But if you look at like all those horror characters, the main characters are not the humans, the regular people that are getting killed. It's Jason. It's Freddy. You know what I mean? In this
well, that's
book,
what I'm
while
saying.
it has those
That's what
great
brings you
characters,
in, like you said
it kind of
earlier.
flips it.
Yeah, no, that like you said, what brought you in originally was like the killers, right? Because
Yeah.
you got like all these bios, all these like baseball cards of like who they are, what they do, what are their
Right.
weapons. It's like, oh my god, right? But then as they go out there in the town and they're roaming and doing what they do, you get to know the people they're like prowling upon. It's like, oh
Yeah.
my god, like the lady that works at the car lot. I hope she gets alive. Or
Right.
Big Bruce. I hope he could. They've you know they cut his other arm too for being sleazy. Like
Wait. We didn't tell him about that yet. Hold on. We didn't tell him about that yet. Spoiler. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. No. But what you're talking about is in the issue 4. Lady Carolina goes to this car dealership where she knows that her gear is at. And she's walking around, she decides that she wants, to have this crappy car. And like the whole time he's being a sleazy freaking small towns used car salesman, like, oh, well, someone like you should probably get something real nice and expensive, right? She's like, no, I want this. And then she's like, man, I can't get the trunk open. You think you can help me? And of course, he's like, pulls up and says,
yeah,
yeah, I'm the big guy. I'll help you open it. Sometimes you just got to jiggle it. And in doing so, he jiggled it, and a trap was set by the Fox Mask killer, and it just sing chops off his hand.
yeah.
And I'm a
You know
little
what I
mad that
wrote
she
in my
didn't go,
review? You know what I
thanks for
wrote?
the hand.
I put that Big Bruce sleazy ass should have kept his hands to himself because he was getting touchy feely with Lady Carolina, like trying to like usher her into the car and like being all like try to speak game on her or trying to raise her up as the kids will say nowadays.
Should have known better.
Yeah, and then he gets his hand cut off.
But I do like also that there is a part right before that happens where the Fox Max killer actually like walks up on big Big Bruce's family waiting in a car. It's his kids and his young wife, and she walks up and basically is like, and sees the kid has a fox. He goes, "I like your fox." He goes, "I like your mask." He's like, "You should get out of here." And
Yeah,
the mom was like, "What did you say?" All she does is just unsheaths like the hilt of her sword. I said, "Get out of here!" And
they leave
that
Big Bruce
speaks
behind.
that speaks to also again while Fox Mask Killer is a trained killer, an assassin, there is a code that she has, and she's in this game not for the game, but for who is participating. And we see that some of these killers have their own motives, like the lone gunman. He's doing it for vindication, to clear his name, and then you've got the Fox Mask Killer that wants revenge for her daughter. There's a lot of like people in here that aren't just the stereotypical serial killers, which is something, especially thinking now that it's going to be a 5-year run, and obviously most of the killers are not making it through the first 10 issues.
Right.
There
I
should
think that Lady
technically be
Fox,
one.
this is not her first tournament. I think they said
It's not.
she won the last one or something like that,
Yes.
right? Okay,
Yes.
so yeah, and then you have like that,
Or it may not have been the last one, but she did win one.
right? That she been in this before, and I guess like they took her daughter to like force her to come back, something like that, and this is why
Yeah,
she's here.
I think they actually killed her daughter. I don't think they took her because
Yeah,
when they're fighting, they're talking shit, and she's like,
she and Lady Carolina, like they knew each
yeah.
other before this. That was like the big reveal from issue 4, that these two players, these two killers, know each other and they have some sort of relationship before all this happened.
And it seems like it may have been a romantic one. It's kind of
Maybe
hinted, or like maybe I think maybe Lady Carolina like kind of tried to, and she
it
was
was
scorned.
implied that there was
It's
something
something
going on there.
they
Yeah,
didn't specifically say it, but I want to point out in the fight how good the art was. So like when they're in the middle of this fight, Lady Carolina has this crossbow, and the Fox Mask Killer has her sword, and they both lose them at one point. And then on the panel, you see them running. Oh, let me get line up away from each other at the top, and then underneath it, it shows them grabbing their weapons, but it's spaced out. They were not afraid to use the empty space to show distance, and I thought that was absolutely brilliant. I
yes,
like because it. And again, I keep coming back to the same thing where it's very cinematic, because I see the long continuous shot, quick cut, quick cut. You know what I mean? That's they do movies, and I do want to call out one thing that I'm really upset about this book. Um, Lady Carolina said she's holding a crossbow. Okay, that it cost more to create than she could ever make in a lifetime. I call bullshit. I call bullshit, because the absolute top of the line, like no one in their right mind needs this kind of crossbow, is like $5,000. A minimum wage job can get you that in a
I
lifetime.
I think it's because it was made of gold.
Still,
You don't think
it,
that's a lot of
it
gold?
wasn't a. I mean, it could.
If
Well,
it's
hold
fully
on.
made of gold, if it's fully
It
made of
couldn't be
gold, that's
gold.
a lot of
It
gold.
couldn't be gold because she chopped it in half.
True. Well,
It was
it was gold coated. It was gold coated.
like, I'm sorry. Like, I call bullshit. That's like the one thing so far I've been like, all right, that's wrong. I'm sorry. That's just Lady Caroline being a bitch for no reason. Like, that made no sense. Like, oh,
she
it
was
costs
she
more
was
than
she was trying to
you'll
flex
ever have in your
on
life, bitch.
yeah, she was trying to
That's a
flex
five.
on her girl.
That was what, five. And skilled assassins don't make minimum wage. You know what I mean? Like, come on. Let's be real here. You're wrong. And we still don't know whether or not Lady Caroline is actually dead. Caroline's actually dead, because what in the final, you know,
There it is.
uh, oh yeah, this one. See if I can. Ta-da! Yeah, here I'm gonna get us off of the page so they can see. Like, do you see how you can see him running away, and then the split there? Oh, it's just so beautifully done. I can't help but be impressed every time. Like when I see something like that, we gotta shout it out. Like, because a lot of people who do reviews are like, it was a fun read. I enjoyed it so much. No, that's not what we do here. We do a critique. Um, but back into when we finally see them, the final like matchup, she cuts across and slices the crossbow, cuts her up pretty bad, and just left her laying there. It looks because like I said, we still don't know whether or not she's alive or dead moving forward. Um, and then the this issue wraps up with the introduction of one of the coolest characters like I've ever seen in comics, Recluse. Like,
Yes.
holy crap! So we paint you a little picture. We got the groundskeeper. He's sweeping up all these bodies, and he just stops, and he just basically goes, "I bet if I take one more step, I'm a goner, aren't I?" He's
Hmm.
like, "Yep, exactly." He's like, if you hurt me, you're automatically disqualified. Guys, Recluse they're like, "Man, I didn't hear that shit." He's like, "Well, I saw all of your setups. I saw how brilliantly everything you did. Do you really want to risk all of that on how well we told the rules?" Excuse me, groundskeeper. That was badass. He's like, "All right, you know what? Fine." And he takes, it all out. He's like, "That's your one reprieve. If I catch you one of my traps again, I'm not gonna stop, and you're
Right.
gonna be gone." Like, oh, so good. I'm like every time they introduce someone, I'm just like, this is beautiful. I want it. I love
I think
this.
that goes into to show highlight the preparation that goes into these games, because if I had to like make an assumption on the character of the groundskeeper, he probably studied the all the players, right, and what makes them tick,
Absolutely.
right. And Recluse, um probably wouldn't respond well to a threat or some form of, trying to like posture some authority figure or anything.
Right.
He kind of like
He
uses
stroked
like,
his ego.
yeah, he stroked his ego, but it's like, hey, listen, I know that you have all this work all through the city. If I die, you won't get to see it through. So it's
He's
your
like,
call. He was like, it's in your hands. I could die. Yeah, you can kill me, but you won't be able to see the fruits of your labor, um, after all that hard work. And he was like, all right.
happy hunting as he continues to clean up the dead bodies. Like, oh man, such a good issue and the way to close it out really well. And then moving on to the issue 5, we now see um, Slater and Layla Blaze. Like, and this is what I'm talking about. Little by little, they kind of hinted at everything. You saw them briefly talk here. You saw them on the dance floor talking about going out for a smoke. And then you have uh the representatives basically complaining like, "Hey, this isn't fair. Like, you can't have her distracting him from his weapons." And then, like, it was between Delaware and so Delaware is represented by Layla, and Maryland is represented by Slater. And Maryland's basically like, "Oh, this is not fair." And Delaware kind of throws it right back at him. Was like, "Hey, it's not our fault that he wants to try to get all up in her. I mean, he's not here for the game apparently. If he's trying to bang a psychotic fire starter, you know what I mean? Like, so he's like, it's basically kind of your fault, man." And there was just so little lack of like compassion to any of the like the normal people that are in there. Just like they're just hoping for this ridiculously high body count, and I think that we see um it hit South Carolina a little harder because her twin sister is one of those people that's out there trying to rack up kills and trying to survive. And we see more about that later. But I do like how at this point in the story, we have Audrey, we have Laura, even Big Bruce, with him in his one hand. Like these like it's as a reader, like we get to see all of this stuff happening around them. We get to see the killers and the chaos and all of that. But like when you look at like in this issue specifically, when Slater and Layla are in outside getting his stash, you see Javi. It's from Javi's point of view because he's hiding in a dumpster outside of the club that they were at. So like we're seeing it from all of these different points of views, and I mean it's just absolutely awesome so far. And I don't know about you, but I think the most disturbing and probably most psychologically like dark thing they've done in this issue, we saw Laura, Audrey, and Bruce go to the police station to try to get some help and find out what the hell is going on.
Yeah.
And what they saw, like, it's cool because we're reading it in the comic book. You know what I mean? It's awesome. Like, we see all the police officers zip tied, all shot. You see some of them have bags on, like mask bags on their heads and stuff like that. You could tell they were all systematically taken out. And these are regular people walking in on that. Could you imagine the psychological terror that we would get if a normal person walks into a police station, the quote unquote toughest guys around, the ones who are supposed to save you, are all just taken out.
Yeah.
Like that, the imagery they had there for that was just, I stared at that. Like, before I could continue reading, I just looked at that for a minute. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
That's bad.
All of their hopes just, deflated the moment they walked in there, especially the lady, what's her name? Not Laura,
Audrey.
Audrey. Her
Yeah.
face when she saw like all those bodies laying there, you could tell like, it was just escaping her. The not
Yeah.
only was she was in shock, but she was like who gonna help us?
Right. Yeah. What are we gonna do now? And then, of course, Big Bruce, being the big, strong, tough guy that he is, he's like, all right, we're gonna go get the guns. And I have to admit, I love how they gave Bruce like his Samuel L. Jackson Deep Blue Sea moment, where he's just sitting there having this great. I'm reading him like, damn, this guy's starting to make some sense. He's like, let's go get the guns. We'll take care of this ourselves.
We're gonna turn
And
this around. We're not gonna take
yeah,
this lane down. We're gonna
it
fight
it
back.
it, it, it took me a second, even as a reader, going, wait a minute, wait, hold on. You see all them guns in that closet, right? The people that took out all the cops didn't take them. Why? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't even think about it. Even as a reader, it took me a minute. And then, of course, we get like our Indiana Jones moment where he goes to reach for it, and a booby trap comes up and does flip,
By
lops off
recluse.
his head. Yeah, by Recluse. And that's the thing I love about Recluse, because when I initially heard about that he was using ropes, I just assumed he was like strangling people with them. I never thought he was using like high tension wire ropes that are cutting people into shreds like freaking Resident Evil laser beams. Like, I never thought about that. I'm like, that's so good.
I didn't imagine it to that extent, but the fact that he has some like spider web tattoos, I was like, okay, this guy's gonna be doing traps and
Like,
catching people
yeah.
and stuff. But I didn't think it was gonna be like this. Not even close.
And I think that's another good thing about this. Like, it keeps surprising me. But yeah, like, and I think it shows also the difference in like Audrey and Laura. Once Big Bruce's head's on the floor, Audrey is throwing up, freaking out. And
Yeah.
Laura, the paramedic, is like, all right, listen, calm down. We're going to get through this. We're going to get through this. And then at that point, they actually hear the conversation between the groundskeeper and the game master talking about the fire, the taking out the perimeter with the fire bats. And like, I don't know about you, but I kind of got this feeling now that the final battle is going to be like in a ring of fire. Like,
I know
one-on-one
where you're
fight to the
going.
death.
I know where they're pushing everything with the fires. It's very heavily implied in issue 6. So
I'm gonna have to read that before.
and it's some
We broke it up, and I was like, let me not read that right now.
it's a place that's been talked about through the issue. So it's not like something they come up with. Like it's been
Good.
introduced in the plot before, some this spot in the town. And they like the whole groundskeeper fire thing comes back again, and you can hear that they're even squeezing in more the
Yeah.
perimeter. Like it's like basically they just turned this. It went from the Purge and Hunger Games to introduce an element from Fortnite, like how the circles
Yeah.
get
Just keeps
smaller and
closing.
smaller and smaller. Yep.
No,
So
and like, so I'm gonna skip we're gonna go a little out of chronological order here. We'll save my favorite kill so far of the series for after this, but we get to see Pretty Boy and Mike. It is Mike. I have it written down. Mike, they had this cool moment where Pretty Boy, he found a little Scooby snack sitting in and they're starting to talk about all these crazy theories, and it gets to a point where they're trying to just drive out of town. That was the goal. They're like, we're getting out of here. And then he gets all the way up to where the fire is, and they literally get to see it's just a wall of fucking fire.
Yeah.
And just people like just scorching it. And like literally you see it, and he's like, oh my God, I was right. They're here to kill us. I was like, oh my God, that's beautiful. I love it. Like that was so like that.
And that translates
Great.
to issue 6, like that freak out, that manic state that Mike has from like, oh my God, I was right about everything, carries on into issue 6 too.
Hell yeah. Okay, so now I had to say that, but I want to now talk about my favorite kill of the entire series up to through issue 5. It's when Layla Blaze and Recluse unintentionally team up to take out Slater. So they're, Slater's got all of his bombs, he's setting it up, and like he, like a douchebag, after being told that she don't like to be touched, but she would love to watch, decides, I'm going to kiss this girl. I'm going to kiss this fire star, this crazy lady. I'm going to go ahead and just, mwah. And she's like, I told you, I don't like to be touched. And she just pushes him on the balcony. Now, me in my head, when I'm reading, I'm like, oh, yeah, here we go. Die Hard, Hans Gruber. Ah. And then he literally falls through a recluse web, and it cut him into pieces like Resident Evil, the laser grid. And I didn't notice this until I went back, like, as I'm doing my notes. She literally ran downstairs to get showered in his blood and body parts. Because she's up top, pushes him, and then literally runs all the way downstairs. So, here we go. Yeah, look at this. I told you I don't like being touched, but I do like to watch. The most disturbing and like disgusting thing they've done. Heave ho, you know what I mean? Like I think this like she literally just pushes him. I'm like, okay, it's just gonna be a simple fall. Wait, what are those? Oh no, there's Recluse. Oh my God! And she, like, I don't know, and it's weird because she immediately started running downstairs. She didn't know exactly what's gonna happen.
Right.
But she wanted to at least be there to watch him die. And this time, instead, she gets literally, it's just her getting showered and just whatever was left of him through the wires.
Bloods and guts
they kind
and
of
whatever.
like, they kind of look at each other, and she's like, okay, bye. And just runs out. And he's like, all right, whatever. Recluse, by the way, is what I'm saying, whatever. And I really think that if you can surprise me in a horror series, you're doing a good job. And they got me. They 100% got me. I did not see that coming. That was awesome.
Yeah, I don't think anybody did, but it was set up right. Like the setup was there. It was been foretold that Recluse have been going around setting traps and all this stuff,
and specifically by where all of the weapons caches were. Like that's what I'm talking about. He's weaving this story so well together. And then you had, like, after that, we see South Carolina and Massachusetts. They're having this little candid conversation about the rules, because back in the original one, if you lost your weapon, you're out.
Right.
Which I kind of hope we get a prequel to the original one. I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
That'd be so cool. But that's beside the point. But there's this moment where she kind of insinuates that the twins, the Carolina, the one that's up with all the rich people, and the one that's in the game, kind of tried to skirt the rules, and basically, like, and I think it's really telling. And we go back to how it's like real life events. You've got all these super rich people that are toying with all of these other people, but still can't stop toying with each other as well. Like, y'all all the most powerful people in the world in this series, and you still gotta mess with each other. Like, what? Why? Like, it's kind of like how, that's what we have now. In
billionaires have a hissy fit and they start throwing each other under the bus on Twitter and whatnot. Yeah.
All right, so that sums up. Unless you guys think more for issue 5, I think that sums it up. And after issue 5, so these are the people still in play: the Lone Gunman, Rascal Randy, Gamer Kid Calvin, the Fox Mask Killer, Recluse, Layla Blaze, and Pretty Boy. Those are the ones that we know for sure are
Did you
still alive.
mention Lady Caroline?
Uh, We don't know if she's alive.
Oh, okay,
Because the
okay,
last
okay,
we
okay.
saw her, she had a mortal wound. She and Massachusetts does say, she's hiding somewhere, licking her wounds, but she could very well be dead. And we don't know for sure.
She's
So
easy
even like
prey
in the
right now.
back, even in the back, it has like question marks on her
Yeah,
name.
she's easy
So we
prey,
don't know
if
for sure.
anything.
I think what Massachusetts is hinting at here is that they're gonna try to skirt the rules to save her life.
Switch
Like they're
places with the twins.
or just
Mm.
snatch her the fuck out of there. Like, you know what I mean?
I'm gonna
Like,
go start checking the solicitation for the next issues to see if there's
I'm
something about
telling you,
that.
I got a feeling. I got a feeling. But yeah, so issue 6 is already out. We're gonna do 6 and 7. Oh God, 6, 7, 6,
Six,
7.
seven.
Shit, shit. Um, we're gonna do issue 6 ... as well as 7.
Six is pretty crazy. Six is pretty crazy. The 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 fires
Don't
are
tell me.
like forcing the issue. Um, you get like a killing spree by Gamer Kid. Lady Fox makes like an appearance, and I'm trying to remember. And
Where's the lone gunman?
I don't think he's in issue 6.
No,
Randy Rascal, no, Rascal Randy is the MVP in issue number
hell yeah.
6. That's all I'm gonna
Oh
tell
yeah.
you.
I'm gonna
He is
probably read. I'm gonna probably read that before I even start editing this.
he is the MVP in issue number 6,
Hell
and you'll
yeah.
see. Like when you get to the part, you'll be like,
Yep, that's it. That's it right there. But yeah, so far, as we spoke about earlier, Exquisite Corpses so far has sold over 400,000 copies, and that's just unbelievable. So happy with how great this book is, and I'm even more excited that we know we're gonna get 5 years of this now. Bring it on! I'm in. Um, but with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and move on to our new segment. So here we are for our second ever entry into the Hooked by the Book tournament. Last episode, we talked about the first entry, Sketch Night, is going to be in this tournament. And now, the very next one we have is The Digger, which is written by our good friend T.S. Luther. He's been on the show. We even talked about this book a little bit in that first interview. It is also available now to pre-order through your comic book shop through Lunar. Congratulations, great job, Invader Comics, for picking this book up and getting it out there. We will probably hear us reviewing quite a few stuff from Invader Comics, as I've talked to the brass, as we call them, the heads of it. And what they do is they strive to make sure that great stories get read by more people. And this is not a plug. They're not paying me to say this. I've just spoken with them, and backing TS and having The Digger as one of their books that they're publishing proves that. Because The Digger, let me tell you, The Digger is absolutely phenomenal. Like, there's something about TS Luther's books, and now he's done it in multiple genres now. So we've got like the cyberpunk futuristic type
yep,
thing. We've got the superhero genre, and now we've got this like thriller, almost dark horror kind of story. And when he creates a world, he somehow makes those worlds feel as if they're the richest things in the world. Like, there are people who will literally have 20 issue runs that don't world build the way TS does in one freaking issue. Like this book, The Digger, is a brand new, not connected to anything he's ever done, and it's just like you read it, you're like, this feels like something more than just a regular book. It feels like the world that he created, it's very gritty and very raw, but it's very, the art fits so well with this dark story. And the way he pitches it, it's basically, what if Indiana Jones hunted Short Round? I mean, and I think we might get more of that in the future, but I don't know. I think part of I didn't really get that vibe too much in this first issue, because even though this bad guy, the American, was looking for the kid, it didn't really feel like he was hunting him yet. So
No,
I'm
okay, hold on,
guessing.
hold on, hold on. Let's throw you a little information like out the front
See,
before we
this is
get
why we're so good. I'm getting into all this shit. And he's like, hold up,
no.
wait a
Wait a
minute.
minute. The
Go ahead.
Digger #1 comes out in January 14. The final cutoff order date, whatever that's called,
FOC.
the FOC final order cutoff is no December 1st. So
Okay.
if you want to support Luther, if you want Invader Comics to continue to put out this series, because issue 2 is already done.
Yep.
They
We have
only,
it.
yeah, we have it. We have it.
We're
It's
gonna read
done.
it and review it.
But it hasn't been solicited because this is like the first time Invader Comics takes a chance on Luther and his creative team and on this book. So if you want to support it, make sure that you call your local comic book store and you have them pre-order the Digger #1 from Invader Comics. Even though Invader Comics is an indie book, they are in the Lunar catalog
Yep.
specifically. So even if your folks at your LCS don't ever have never heard about Invader Comics, let them know that they can find their inventory in the Lunar catalog specifically, so you can
I'll include a link in the description as
yeah.
well to make it easier for you. Because
So
I feel like once we're done talking about this, everyone's gonna want to run and do it,
yeah,
and I think they should for sure.
go ahead, pre-order it so Invader Comics feel more comfortable about backing up and
Yep.
and publishing issue #2. The premise of Invader Comics elevator pitch. These are Luther's words, not mine. Imagine a gritty, dark version of an Indiana Jones esque story, but the perspective of the story is being told by a local child that sees the American come to its town looking to find these hidden treasures, right? And when I
Yeah,
say dark and
South
gritty,
America.
yeah,
That's what.
yeah, and it takes place in South America. It actually says on the it takes place in Veracruz, Mexico, to be more specifically. And he
So sorry,
said,
Central America.
yeah, and he said in the 1930s.
Yeah.
Um, this little kid that lives in poverty in this poor little town has this American guy. He's an excavator, an explorer, come to town looking for somebody to point him to these ruins, to this hidden place, so he can go excavate and and unearth these hidden treasures from these stories, these
So
legends, these local
so
legends.
he's basically being a white person throughout most of history and going to a foreign land and just saying this shit's mine and leaving with themselves.
Basically. But this guy, like I said, dark gritty version of Indiana Jones, because he is not funny, he's not witty,
No.
he's not a good guy. He's out there beating up, torturing the locals to get
Yeah.
information so he can find this place.
And
And
to touch back on the main character, he is not only in poverty, but his grandmother is really sick. On
right,
top of that, and when the American comes looking for him, the grandmother sees him and kind of throws him out, like, get away from here, stay away, he's not here. And he's like, he has the eyes of the devil.
yeah,
And
because it's implied that this
so
family
beautiful.
had some history with
Hmm.
exploring and trying to unearth and discover these artifacts, this mysterious legend,
It was
right?
the father, right? Didn't he
Yeah,
say that I'm not gonna end
apparently,
up like my father?
exactly. Apparently, his father got lost to this lifestyle, to this life, and the grandma don't want him to go the same route. But they got maps, they got like magic compasses in the house that are gonna help him in this search.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the premise of the story. Um, what can I say, man? This series by Luthor and the artist, his name is um, Sam Goodilin. I hope I pronounced that right. He did the main cover, the B cover, and the interiors. And this is very is the art is very stylized, right? It's very
Yes.
scratchy. It's all about gritty, and they take a lot of chances in showing you different perspectives, different angles. They play a lot with like the page structure, the panel
Yes.
structure, like.
Yes.
And one of the things that you pointed out was like it was a quick read, like I guess word count. It is a quick read. However, between the script and the visuals, there is a lot of rich
Yes.
story being told through the images, through the panels, to the way they highlight, um, with the limited palette of color palette that they're using.
Mm-hmm.
Because like the book is on a gray scale, right? But there's
For
certain
browns and
like
dark
like
and
browns,
reds,
beiges, grays, right? It's on that scale. Um, um, but there are certain items that do get highlighted in like a very bold yellow or blue or red, right?
yes.
Like the American has blue on his hat. The kid has red, for example, on his hat. When he pulls out the magical compass, is yellow, right? So
Yep.
it's like it actually not only guides you through like the panel, the pages, but it's also highlighting you like, okay,
Right. I was
blue
literally about to say.
represents, yeah, blue represents the American, it represents danger, it represents like high pitch, tense, high tension moments, right? Versus
Yes.
the red
Yes.
is with the kid, and then it's with the grandma, with like the more intimate, more warm, heartfelt moments, right? Like the visuals are telling you the story without you reading it, right?
Yeah, he did a
Without,
really good job with that old saying, "Show, don't tell." And like we
absolutely,
talk about a lot of time, I have no problem reading a lot of words, none whatsoever. I mean, it does,
yeah, same here.
make some books feel a little bit longer, a little bit harder to get through, sure. But this book didn't need a single more word
Yeah,
because of those visuals literally help tell the story so well. And like especially when you're looking at like how they drew the American, like on that like the last couple pages where like you see him like, okay, let's go, and he's like he goes, you see him talking to these what I'm gonna guess are two unalived humans. Like they're basically slumped over,
victims.
all
Yeah,
the red showing up. And he's just like, all right, well, I don't need you guys anymore, and I'm gonna go use this kid now. And
and every
he,
time the
you'll see
American
it.
is on page, he is built into the page like a big ominous presence.
Yes, I was
He's
gonna say he's
typically
usually he's huge
huge, or
in
he's the
comparison.
perspective has him looking like from down, so you can barely see his eyes, right? He's always like this threat. This is this ominous
Yes.
threat.
Yep. He don't care. No. No, he didn't. And again, it speaks to how awesome we are in this space we have right now because people like TS can link up with an artist like this and create something truly special. It's very I don't want to say fresh. We use that term a lot, but it's very the way he's telling this story. It's by using the art more as a real storytelling element. He's given us this book that I if we're talking about books that deserve to be recognized, The Digger is up there. And I actually told this to TS earlier. I was talking to him earlier today, and I was like, it's starting to get to the point where you're, for me at least, you're a Tynion esque storyteller where I don't need to hear the premise. I hear you're working on it, and I want it. Like if someone
Yeah,
says, "Here, do you want to read this new James Tynion book?" I'm going to say yes. Here, you want to read this new T.S. Luther book? I'm going to say yes. When it comes to like some other artists, I'd be like, all right, well, how about you tell me what the story's about?
right.
Like
No,
with
but
TS, it's just so
Luther
good
has
everything
this
he does.
ability to, I guess, do a lot of research and learn about
Yep.
genres, locations, um, tropes when it comes to like themes and genres, and then he just pours everything you can think of into a story that it's not dense in the reading.
Right.
It's not like holding your hand, right? Because as you're passing these pages, without paying too much attention and dissecting it, you can tell that this is a poor town, that this is impoverished city, that the cops are corrupt, right? Based
Yep.
on just the action, the sequences, what is driving the plot, and he is such as like not just prolific, right? Because he clearly he can write anything,
Any
right? He
genre.
any
Yep.
genre up to this point, but the way he crafts stories, like you said, number one, the world building, it feels it looks easy when it's not.
Yeah,
When it's not.
I literally said that to him today. I was like, I can't gotta tell you how jealous and angry I get and annoyed I get almost as a writer myself, because I feel like I have to put so much work into doing that story building, and I don't think it shows through as flawlessly as it does with TS's work.
The man
Like
is gifted.
I told him, I
The
was like,
man,
I know you put a lot of work. I don't want to diminish all the hard work you do, but it seems effortless. And he's like,
yeah,
oh my
he
god,
makes it.
thanks, man.
Yeah, yeah,
He's amazing.
he's very gifted.
Shout out to
So
TS Luther, baby. Sorry.
yeah, so that being said, we are hooked by the book. The Digger number
Absolutely.
one comes out January 14. Final order cutoff day is December 1st. Make sure you pre-order it to your local comic book shop. It's from Invader Comics, and their inventory is in the Lunar catalog. You can follow T.S. Luther in all socials, just that, T.S. Luther. L,
Everywhere.
yeah, Luther, if I'm not mistaken.
It is, yeah.
Yeah,
But
there we
again,
go.
I'll have that all in the description as well. And then again, shout out to Invader Comics. I think they got a real hit on their hands with this one, and I'm glad that that it's now in Lunar. Like as a creator myself, I know just how much that means to him, and I want to make sure that we, at least as a podcast, as us, as comic book influencers.
No,
I know
no.
it hurts saying it. As comic book advisors, I want to try our best to help.
We
I
over here.
feel like
We're your comic book friends. We're your comic book advisors, right? And as
we're,
friends, we will
we're
not lead
comic
you
book
astray.
dogs.
Yeah, we're comic book. Yeah, we will
Woof
not
woof.
lead. Yeah, we will not lead you astray. Okay, trust
Yeah,
us. We are
we're
we are punk rock experts. Okay, we will not lead you astray.
we're we're not trying to sell you. We're not making anything off this. No one's paid us to have. And for the record, no one will ever pay into. Hey, if they want to pay us, they won't help your odds to get into Hooked by the Book. We decide that, and we're actually working on a whole criteria of a grading scale. So like, it's not going to even necessarily be us picking who the champion will be. The numbers will pick it. Because we'll have a whole rating scale. We're working on that right now. But if you're interested in being in this Hooked by the Book tournament, we're hoping to have at minimum 8 books. We have 2 so far, so at minimum we have 6 more openings. If you're interested, please feel free to send that either to Year on one of the social medias, to me, Nerdtooine, on any of the social medias, directly to Planet Nerdtooine. All the email and all the links, everything will be down below. This is by far our longest episode yet, and it's because we were
Yeah,
out for so long. But we're closing in on 2 hours.
yeah. And listen, we do answer. We do answer. We not only like we
Absolutely.
reach out to some creators that we know to review their projects because we're buddies. We want to help them out, but some people have reached out to us and we have told them, okay, we'll look into your project. We're gonna make sure that it meets the bar. It's not AI. You're not stealing from somebody else. There's no controversy themes on it, right? Because we do hold ourselves to a standard. And if you clear that minimal, low bar, we are gonna review your book. We're gonna talk about it. And
Yep.
you will have our platform to get your stuff to reach out there, other people, and it can be heard, it can be seen, and
And
hopefully you could be successful. Even if we don't like your stuff, we hope that you succeed at the end
Right.
of the day.
And then just to clarify too, just because you submit it, even if it doesn't make it into the tournament, we'll still probably review it unless we don't like it. We'll straight up tell you, sorry, this is not what kind of content we would have on our show, and so we won't be reviewing this. But just because you don't win the tournament doesn't mean we won't review all of your books. It's just a guarantee. If you win the tournament, we will cover the entire run, period. Even if it gets bad. So hopefully, if you win, it stays good. Because if it gets bad, we're gonna let you know. Um, but that being said, thank you all so much for stopping by. Thank you all so much for tolerating our hiatus. We had a lot going on, both me with my book in NYCC and Year with his job and his body. He's out getting all himself checked out so he can be
Yeah.
long and he's a
My wife
Terminator
has
and run
surgery
around here
too. I have
forever.
to take care of
Um,
her and a baby.
see,
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot. We had a lot going on, but we are here. We're gonna continue to try to keep up with as much as we can. But that being said, thank you all so much, and make sure you follow Year the Collector on all the social media, me Nerdtooine, Planet Nerdtooine, all that good stuff. Please consider liking, sharing, subscribing, especially if you got this long. Please, it really helps with the
Might as well.
algorithm.
What are you doing?
Right? If you're
Yeah.
here still now
Yeah.
listening to me yabber, you need to just hit the like,
If
share,
you're
and
here
subscribe.
this long into the episode, you're committed. Go ahead,
Right.
subscribe, like, follow us.
We at very least it'll be entertaining. But Year, do you have any final thoughts?
No, no, I think I said what I needed to say.
I said what I said and I meant it. All right. So until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.